You go to the meeting, you show your press credentials, and what happens?
Well, initially, I wasn't able to get into the meeting. It was in a small room, so there was an issue with getting enough people in there. So we had to sit out in the outer room. And then when I opened it up after a couple people left, I was stopped at the door before I got in and asked who I was and why I was there and why I thought I should have access. And I said, well, it's a public meeting, obviously. The public is welcome to come in here. And, and we are the representative for the public. So once I got in there, Larry Hall, former state representative from Durham, who's now the nominee to be the Secretary of the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs, objected to members of the media being present, which I thought was rather bizarre since, again, it was a public meeting. There was some discussion between he and Bud Martin, who's the chairman of the Military Affairs Commission, and Mr. Martin then asked me if I would be willing to not report on what happened for this presentation that I was there specifically to cover.
Now, wait a second. Let's be clear for our listeners. So the person in charge of this commission and this public meeting wanted you to not reveal what was in the presentation that was going to be made?
A non-disclosure pact, in effect. To which I had told him, that's just not going to happen. This is a public meeting, which he agreed it was a public meeting, and said in the interest of not allowing this, what they thought was sensitive information to get out into the realm of the public, would I agree not to print it? Of course, I again said no.
And we should tell folks this is about a wind farm. We'll get into the details of the actual story, but it's about wind energy.
Right. And there were two other members from the general public there who were interested in the same topic. And so they said since I wouldn't agree not to print, and since the other folks apparently weren't going to agree not to say anything outside of the meeting, they pulled it from the agenda. Said they would reschedule it for a later date, which they did not name.
So because you were there, a reporter with press credentials, they pulled this presentation.
Right. And Larry Hall's explanation to me was that it wasn't fair for me to have the scoop as much as I wanted to have it. And that
Wow.
Maybe other media should be present and they could do that at a later date because they didn't want just my version of events coming out into the public realm.